Live from TO to the world.
This is Capsule on Live in Limbo.
How's it going, Andres? It's been a few weeks, but we're still here.
Well, that's all that matters, the fact that we're still here, and it's an exciting occasion, so I'm glad to still be here. So yes, I'm pumped, I'm ready, and it's not just us two. We are joined yet again with our newly appointed music editor, Dakota Arsenault.
How's it going, Dakota?
Yay, I'm still here.
I know you're a little under the weather, but this is exciting for everyone.
It's very exciting. 100 episodes. I can only hope that ContraZoom makes it that far one day.
We'll talk about that later in the show, but yes, so Capsule, 100th episode. Technically, I guess we skipped like two and a half weeks, so it could be 102, but I wanted to save it because we have new artwork and an intro sound and like blips that you will hear throughout the show, so stay tuned for all that good stuff. But yeah, so today, Saturday, February 13th, 2016, we are recording episode 100 of Capsule. That is crazy to think about. And I can't think of a better way to kick off this episode than by talking about our good pal, Kanye West. So he's supposed to release his 7th album, and it's changed many times. The title of it from Swish, Waves,
now God.
Yes, yeah. And now Life of Pablo, tentatively. So,
yeah.
Andreas, you have been following this story.
Yes.
So what can you tell us about this and his Twitter storms?
I could kind of see why he's been indecisive, because it's, as you said, the 13th of February, and as of yet, the album still hasn't been released. And I don't know if you've been following closely, but there's been a reason why. It was supposed to tentatively have been released after Yeezy Season 3, his fashion line, being premiered at Madison Square Garden and all over the world in select theaters. He played portions of it where some of it sounded really good, actually, at the actual event. Nothing happened. He said the album's going to drop today. Pandora, Spotify, and other websites of the like basically confirmed this. Nothing happened. Past midnight last night.
Yeah. Oh, you were following it at midnight? Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, because I unfortunately have bought into what I would consider the Steve Jobs of the musical world, that is Kanye West.
Okay.
So and I consider the Yeezy seasons his keynote speeches in a weird way.
But did you order his clothing as well?
No.
Dude, you should do that. You should do that. You should review Kanye's clothing line, and we can like dress you up.
Do you want to fund me that?
Yeah, we can do that. I would
absolutely love to.
Yes, that would be awesome. Okay, yeah, continue.
Yeah, nonetheless, past midnight, when everybody's exploding, like, where's this album you promised? He basically tweets and says, Chance the Rapper really wanted the song Waves on the album because he switched the lineup of songs, what order they're going to be in, what songs are going to be featured many times. And it's speculated that the final track list, I'm doing air quotes over the radio, wasn't really final, because he ended up putting a bunch of songs to kind of tease the fans and say, oh my god, there's actually more.
Wait, the last one I saw was like the notepad with like the red marker. Is that the last one?
I don't know, Sean. They all look like that, to be honest. No, but it ended up being like 17 songs. And Chance the Rapper saw this and said, oh, where's Waves? You know, we worked really hard on that. That looked really good. So now
so
they're back in the studio trying to get Waves back in.
Oh, no.
And that's why it's not out yet.
So that happened at midnight yesterday. Well, this
Past
morning.
Midnight.
Oh. Dakota, what are your thoughts on this?
Thought he was going to release it.
Is this ridiculous, or is this normal and we should expect this and just embrace the fun of it?
I think it's tough to say. I think what's interesting is there is a new trend where to help avoid leaks, artists are not making physical copies. I read a really interesting book called How Music Got Free, where basically most of the leaks happened because of CD plants having the albums taken. So, you have a new album coming out, and 2 months before it goes to a CD pressing plant. You can't do anything about that because the launch day is when the physical CD comes out. Now, because of the way all of this technology works, is you can release your album online to prevent leaks. And so I think that's sort of what's becoming commonplace. You know, you look at Rihanna's album, you look at the stuff that Beyonce does, you look at the stuff Radiohead does. It is now the common thing to do if you're a big act, to hold off and do a digital release first and then a physical release later. And because of that, you know, it's not too surprising that dates might change a little bit, and we get excited and something doesn't happen or whatnot. I think this is obviously taking it to a next level that's a little bit frustrating. I love Kanye. He's one of my favorite artists, but I've been trying to step away from all the hype and just be like, all right, when it comes out, I'm going to listen to it. But until then, I'm not going to try to get too wrapped up about it and just be like, yep, I'm looking forward to it coming out.
I think this is a great way to build hype. Well, I think that's what this is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as well, I guess all three of us here are hugely into Kanye. I think it's good that one of us is involved too much and one of us has stepped back and been realistic and said, okay, let's just wait, because at least now we can see both sides of this insane shitstorm that is the release of The Life of Pablo. Or who knows, he might change it again to something else.
I actually like that name, Life of Pablo.
Yeah, it's an interesting name. I actually do like one of the album covers. One of them, like the alternate one with the model on it, isn't great. I get what it's trying to say. I don't like it. But the original one, I like the sense of minimalism. I don't know. What do you think, Dakota?
I'm not crazy about the new one. I'm really not.
It could just be temporary as well.
I don't know about that one this time, Sean. I think this time it's pretty set on that weird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that weird.
Suppose like later today at like randomly like 5 p.m. Eastern, he's like, okay, it's out, and then it's just like a white album cover with like a black dot in the middle.
I'd probably be more okay with that. Kanye is someone who takes in all facets of art and puts it into music, which is something I really appreciate. And his album covers have always been really interesting. Even Yeezus with its minimalism, I thought was pretty interesting as far as a take on non-branding branding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Obviously, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy has the best artwork, but even his earlier stuff has some really interesting stuff going on. And so I'm sort of disappointed that it's just so basic that he probably made it himself in like Microsoft Paint or something.
Probably enough, it was commissioned, but I think once you give the album a listen, it'll make a little bit more sense. I don't know if you'll be a huge fan of the album artwork, but it basically looks like what it's trying to sound like a kind of family gospel album that's clipped together and very very glitchy, kind of in the way that Yeezus was. So once you take that in mind and you listen to it and you like see the artwork that's supplied with it, it kind of makes sense. But I don't know if you'll be still fond of it, but I think it'll make more sense.
At the same time, like I can appreciate when the artwork sort of mirrors how the music sounds. But on the flip side, I like album artwork to literally be artwork. And, you know, I've got a nice record collection. I like displaying my records that have great covers. You know, I'm in love with the Jamie XX album artwork. I'm in love with stuff like that where you can really proudly sort of show it off and admire it and look at it, and it's an enjoyable thing to look at and analyze. And just because it goes with the music doesn't mean it's good art.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad that Andres, you're like the one that's on this story. You're like the spotlight.
I don't know.
From that film.
Your
team spotlight.
No, but to be fair, I don't know. I'm slowly slipping away. But for the good of the site, I'll try and stick on it. But I'm not getting impatient, but I'm kind of getting disinterested till Dakota's point where it's like, okay, I'll just wait for this thing to come out. You know,
it's supposed to be Monday night now.
I don't know. It's Now it's basically whenever. The last tweet I remember seeing was him in all caps basically saying, like, change the rules, you don't need rules. By the way, back to finishing Pablo. So I don't know what that means. Whatever that means.
Okay. Well, I've seen a few of his interviews that he's done with like Zane Lowe, and he really likes, I think he's like really into like the whole philosophy of like the art and marketing. So he knows what he's talking about.
Of course he
Hopefully,
does.
yeah.
But still, it's still a bit frustrating when something like this happens. Yeah, I know the song Waves might be cool and Chance might have a point, but this should have been done like weeks ago, not literally the day of.
Maybe Valentine's Day tomorrow.
That's the flip side of releasing it digitally is you don't need to send in track listings to have it printed out. You don't need to, make sure that you have the right space on
That's
your
right.
CD and things like that. At least, I'll use Animal Collective on the flip side. They've sort of been teasing their new album for a while. They've released a couple singles. Did they not secretly play it at some airport or something?
Yeah, they did. They played the whole thing at an airport, and nobody has leaked this yet.
Wow.
Nobody
Yeah.
has any signs of this.
Yeah, so like they're at least sort of teasing it, but not being like, okay, it's coming out this week. No, it's coming out tomorrow. No, it's coming out 2 weeks from now. No, it's coming out yesterday. Wait, no.
Then again, I don't know if that would fly too well with them. With Kanye, I think because he's such a big name.
Like you would recognize his voice once you heard it.
Well, not even just that. I mean, like, it's something he could kind of get away with because everybody's still clinging to him. I think, I don't know what he's doing now, but initially he was kind of taking.
He's probably in the washroom
commonplace-
with his like Dropbox, and it's ready to
No, Sean,
upload
that's-
at any time to
that's not what
SoundCloud.
That's not what I mean, Sean.
Oh,
I'm not that specifically, but I mean, I don't know what he's doing with the procrastinating after the release date, but he's basically taken this surprise release date thing and spun it on his head. Do I applaud him for that? Kind of, but at this point, it's kind of a bit too much. I mean, a lot of people are pissed, and he took something that could have been a huge release, like after he announced there were 17 tracks on it.
That's
Bam! Then release it. That would have been massive. But at this point, people are starting to get frustrated, and you don't want fans of Kanye West to start being okay. He's an asshole. People who aren't usually can say that justifyingly, but
I
you
think
don't
no
want
matter
that.
what, the people who are fans of him won't care when it comes out, and people that don't like him are going to find something to complain about him no matter what.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, basically.
I like your point, Dakota, about you like artists not going to physical media first. They go to digital first now, because like he could be like just on the toilet with a Dropbox, and he can be like, right now is a good time to release it. Upload to SoundCloud or whatever.
Basically.
No comment. Yes.
No. I was just saying
It'll
basically.
probably end up on Tidal first.
Tidal first.
Yeah.
Do you think so? Okay.
Yeah, speaking of which, I don't know if any of you tried to do the whole Yeezus season thing, but apparently it was a complete mess with how glitchy the site was.
Did you try Tidal?
I didn't, but I was certainly sticking my nose into like the interwebs to see what was going on, and a lot of people like live while it was happening were saying, "Oh my God, why is Tidal not working? This was just working. Their song was starting." Or are these models still frozen in place, or is it Tidal? I can't tell which one's frozen.
I tried the what's it called? The free trial 1 month of Tidal. It was okay. I can't really distinguish their lossless format. So
No, they're basically just going to be used as the exclusive release point for whatever big artist they have signed to it. Like, I know the Rihanna one was a bit of a fiasco, but like it'll be Rihanna, it'll be Beyonce, it'll be Kanye, it'll be Jay-Z, it'll be Daft Punk, it'll be Madonna, it'll be whoever else they have signed up with them.
I
Jack
think
went
yeah.
with this primeval Greek music apparently that he's coming out with. I don't know if you heard about that, but yeah, all of these exclusive things.
It'll be up with Tidal for a week or two before it gets released on Spotify and Apple and all the other stuff, and then 2 months later there'll be a physical release of it.
This is Capsule.
Speaking of digital streaming music, SoundCloud has been in the news this week. They've been hemorrhaging money for the last 2 years. So they've lost more than $70 million since 2004. And even though they have nearly 200 million users worldwide, they've failed to turn this huge user base into a profitable operation. That's kind of crazy because whenever we post a review or a photo gallery of artists that come through Toronto, we always like to put in a SoundCloud track of that artist's song. And yeah, it's kind of weird that they are not able to monetize it fully yet. What are your thoughts?
Just can't cloud money.
Yeah, because people online just want it free, kind of, I guess. That's how they feel. There's no exchange in a tangible object.
It's interesting because the times that I've used SoundCloud is more for listening to DJs and producers than listening to actual songs. That I sort of got introduced to it by my brothers, who are both really big into the EDM scene, where, they'll send me a track, it'll be up on SoundCloud because it's some, new production or new remix or something like that. So it's weird.
Oh, so like to rephrase, so you don't listen to like albums or music from an artist that you like would listen to on your playlist at work or something. It would be for something that's kind of like in the works, kind of like a DJ remix or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Like when I'm listening to new music, if I'm trying to discover it, I'm either on YouTube or I'm slowly getting into Spotify because Stephanie has an account, my girlfriend. Or, I'm either downloading or buying or things like that. Whereas if it's something like, it's a remix, it's a DJ playlist, it's a brand new song by an EDM artist, things like that. That's where sort of SoundCloud sort of comes into play for me, because that's the only place you could find it because it isn't officially released.
That's right. That's what I was trying to say. Officially, like on a label or something.
Yeah. So it's certainly odd because like I've even heard some weird stories about, non-professional DJ producer type things. That's sort of the thing that Jeff does for our Method Tricky playlist.
That's on Mixcloud.
That's on Mixcloud, where, you're doing a remix of something or a mashup of something, or even, putting your own beat onto it. And SoundCloud would give you a takedown notice, a DMCA or DCMA or whatever they're called, and remove it, even though that like they have approval and they're using original work as well.
Yeah.
So like their takedown system is kind of weird, where they'll do like blanket takedowns and sort of screw over the little guys.
I guess because the bigger they are indeed the biggest of their kind, SoundCloud. So I guess they have the biggest target on their back. And that's why when Jeff started the Method Sound, that's why I was kind of wondering what the difference between SoundCloud and Mixcloud is. And then you explained and I looked into it. It's pretty good. Like Mixcloud, you make your mix and then you put in the track listing and then they will pay the royalties to the artist.
Yeah, you do hard tagging. So
that's right.
Can see right away.
Did you watch the NBA All-Stars celebrity game yesterday?
Yeah, I did actually. I watched a little bit of it. As usual, in a weird sense, it was Kevin Hart hour, but yes, I did. What did you think?
I thought it was pretty fun, actually. I watched the entire thing, which is weird. But Win Butler of Arcade Fire is the MVP.
No surprise.
That's pretty great.
He was really awesome. Good. I know, he was amazing. I was like, wow, holy crap. And
I'm not surprised.
Milos Raonic was there. Tracy McGrady.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Bouchard.
Tracy McGrady kind of showing his age, but it's still great to see like a former Raptor and NBA great, back on the court. But some of it was kind of sad. But the fact that he was just there for fun and just kind of like not trying his hardest is also kind of enlightening. But
yeah. So I guess Coach Drake and newly awarded Key to the City Drake was really happy with that performance.
I found two things sort of interesting about it. One, I knew Win Butler was tall. I've seen him in person before at the Polaris Prize a couple years ago. I just didn't realize how tall he was. The fact that he was on level with the other former NBA players, like he's about the same height as Tracy McGrady, which is pretty shocking. And then on the flip side, I know Kevin Hart is ridiculously short. I didn't realize how short Muggsy Bogues was because the two of them are exactly the same height, which is kind of crazy and impressive that Muggsy Bogues was able to carve out the career that he did being as short as he was.
See, it's pretty inspirational.
Absolutely. But again, it's no surprise that when Butler did as well as he did, I mean, if he actually has beaten an NBA star, he beat former Raptor Matt Bonner at a 3-point competition. That's saying something. He was probably quite good when he used to play back in the day, and it shows. I mean, he was doing some, low-level professional NBA stuff, and it was like, damn, this guy can actually really play at points.
Don't quit your day job, though, Win. We still like your music.
Oh, absolutely, but
did you see the part that kind of bugged me after was when the ESPN reporter cut him off when he was talking about their health, how good Canada's healthcare system is?
I think the thing is because it's a celebrity event and it was meant to kind of just be fun. I think the media was kind of just like, yeah, okay, no, this is fun. People are watching for fun. We don't. Okay, that's enough. And because it's a fun event, I don't think they wanted to hear anything kind of serious. So there was that.
Yeah, but you can't say if it was someone like Kevin Hart or someone on the American team, if they were making a somewhat political speech, especially considering what's going on in the States right now, that they would have cut them off. I think it's because they didn't care that it was a Canadian making a political speech.
And because it was kind of just like Win Butler, if it was Drake, maybe, but no, you've got a point. I don't think they would have, honestly, especially, with Kevin Hart kind of yelling it. I don't know if you could tell, I'm not the biggest fan of his. If he was kind of yelling it, like he did before the game, actually. I don't know if you saw that, but he was like, this is for America. We are a proud nation. We're going to show that we are powerful and this and this.
And he cheated too because he's the coach, but then he went backstage and started playing.
None of that matters.
It's a celebrity
He's
game.
not on the active roster. That's what Drake said.
It's a celebrity game.
I don't think Drake really cared that much.
He looked pretty sharp in that suit.
Oh, in the suit, yes. Yes, the navy and the gold buttons, yes.
That was pretty
the jacket had a bit of an 80s vibe with those gold buttons, almost like a sea captain thing.
I wonder if that's in the OVO clothing line.
I think the best NBA move of the night was the fadeaway that Drake had with his haircut and beard. I mean, damn, that is one smooth fade. That was great. It was great. I have to say.
That was actually really
views
fun.
from the 6. He's another guy who keeps teasing it. He needs to drop that album.
Oh, when's that supposed? Maybe he's waiting until Kanye releases his first. Maybe they don't want to be in the same year for awards stuff.
No, I think that was Kendrick. I think they're okay with each other.
Capsule. Music. Film. Pop culture.
All right, so let's talk about your favorite moments of the first 100 or 99 episodes of Capsule. So, Andre, since you were actually here from the very beginning, you actually did the very first episode on your own because I was sick, which is weird. But so within that time span, what has been some of your favorite either moments, learning experiences, or interviews?
Well, yeah, it's interesting because I was just thinking the show must go on, but really there wasn't really a show at all. So, I guess it was good that I still kind of just babbled on my own as I tend to do anyways, even with co-hosts on the very first episode. So yeah, I'm glad that in some weird way that got that got the show going. So since then, yeah, what have been some of my favorite episodes? So well, immediately off the top of my head, I'm gonna go with our two appearances with Michael Gira of Swans and his wise yet blunt and humorous kind of hubris that he bestowed upon us. And he would range from really, really powerful things that we could learn about the industry and about being an artist to things that were just very offensive. But,
were you surprised the first time he even agreed to be on? It's like, whoa.
Oh my goodness, yes. I mean, he's known for being like kind of a difficult person. So I'm surprised that he said yes once. I was even more surprised when he agreed to come back. So
I think that's the only podcast interview I was actually nervous to do. because I wasn't sure what to expect. So I was glad that you were there.
Yeah, no, that was terrific. So that was probably like my favorite. Some other ones that come to mind were the Human Kebab interview we did. The member of Ubiquitous Energy Seeker, not just because it was one of our first kind of bigger ones, but also because of how similar our lives were. Like, remember how much we talked about like Unionville and Markham and
Yeah,
just
he grew up
aspects
not too
about
far
it.
away.
Yeah, so it was very relatable, and it was just weird forgetting that this person was an artist that we were interviewing for a second because of just how much we could relate to each other's upbringing. So that was also quite a good one. I also loved, I guess in no blatant order, as honorable mentions, our slow dive interview we had.
That's right. That was pretty
Do
cool.
our in-person interviews that got featured on Capsule count?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, I guess the vast majority of those kinds of ones, especially to hear how they get translated into audio, because not much gets changed, but just to kind of separate the two.
There is
I
a
don't know.
difference. I've noticed, like, some people, even on the video interviews in the comments, they'll be like, oh, I could listen to their voice all day.
Yeah, absolutely. But then, like, you attach it to video, and it's kind of weird how you're using two senses, so it kind of subsides how much you have to rely on your hearing. But once you separate them, and it's like, okay, this actually works well with audio only, or okay, this one doesn't work as well, So that was always kind of fascinating as well.
I think I really agree with your Michael Giroux one, and that also led to our interview with Anthony Fantana of the Needle Drop, which was amazing.
Yes, it did. And I'd like to kind of think, brushing the confidence off my shoulders a little bit, that his, well, not so new anymore, but his kind of new podcast show that he has.
It was inspired by us.
Yeah, by us, maybe. I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that may be where it's from, because maybe he'll have us and be like, thank you guys, you inspired me. I doubt it, but well,
okay, I'll call him up and we'll chat. Maybe we can be on his podcast next.
And this time, Cal Chuchesta better be there, especially because he came back from the dead. I don't know if any of you are gonna know what I'm talking about if you watched the needle dropping off, but yeah, jokes. Okay. Anyways,
and
yeah,
and the Rachel Goswell of Slow Dive, that was a really touching one as well.
Yes, it was. That was a different kind of personal than the Human Kebab one that we had. That was really seeing a maternal figure, like opening up about her family, about like her life as a musician, about her son. It was something else. It was actually almost difficult to do because it was something I've never been prepared for.
Me too.
I haven't really studied this in school. Can you tell? And to have an experience like that, it was almost difficult because it's like.
Well, I remember you telling me, and I even felt the same. It's like we didn't really know how to respond to that appropriately.
Yeah, there's a blurred line between an interview and just talking to a person that we've always tried to cross. We've always tried to just talk to these people as people and not just as professional jobs that they have to go out and answer loaded questions. So once we've crossed that line a few times and we had an interview like this, it was almost like, okay, how do we wrap this all up together, and how do we, not kind of brush this off offensively? How do we incorporate this, but not really pry even more into her life? Like how do we deal with a situation like this? Like, how do we still keep it human, but still keep it professional? And yeah, it was interesting. She was lovely to us. She opened up hugely to us, and it was a great opportunity for sure.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite 90s bands. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think one of my podcasting idols, Mark Maron, he said his goal for each episode, which is like an hour or so, we get maybe like 30 minutes, 4 hours, but his goal is to find 5 minutes of gold in that 1 hour. So I think that was that moment.
Yep. That's your headline. So right. He's absolutely right about that. There's a reason why he's so big.
All right, Dakota, what are some of your favorite moments of the first 100 episodes of Capsule?
For me, it has to do with episode 15, which was the very first time I was actually on the show.
Ooh, yes.
Which was the Oscar extravaganzas for 2014. It seems kind of crazy. how we're about ready to do our Oscar Extravaganza 2016 already. That we've been doing it for 3 years now. But that was certainly the start where I was just really happy that you thought of me to bring me on the show to talk about something that I'm passionate about. And then from there, that I wasn't that much of a train wreck, that you kept having me come back.
Not that much, yeah.
Not that much of a train wreck?
Yeah, no, you're pretty
okay,
good.
That's good. But like things like doing the CMW wrap up, the North by Northeast wrap up, gained some interviews like the Bleachers one. I think that was my first interview I did with the site. Was it not?
Yeah, that was your first solo one-on-one, yes.
Yeah, which was a pretty cool one to talk to Jack Antonoff because I really like him.
And you were following his interview with Larry King.
Yes.
So it was like Larry King and then Dakota.
Yes, as you pointed out. So that was pretty cool. And then just being able to come back and do that sort of stuff, and then realizing that maybe we did have room for a second podcast. So that's why I came up with the idea to do Contra Zoom, our film-based one. And luckily I had someone on the site who's just as interested and knowledgeable about movies and Andreas, that we were able to sort of do this together, because doing podcasts by yourself is kind of hard.
It is.
I've tried doing a couple of the episodes talking about the Best Picture nominees this year, and they're really hard to do by yourself.
It's different. It's a different dynamic.
It is. I basically have to plan out everything I'm saying in advance.
So I think this is interesting, but I think between the two podcasts, so that means Andreas has been on the most podcasts.
Jeez,
I
okay,
think
I
so.
didn't think about it that way.
People love listening to your voice and your opinion.
I don't know how. I mean, I can't stand it for my own voice, but thanks everyone.
Yeah.
It's an honor. It's an honor to rip your ears off with my bassy voice. I don't know. It's great.
Absolutely. No, I think for me, throughout the last 100 episodes, my favorite thing was just experiencing the entire learning process of building a podcast, and now like a small podcast network. We have 3 shows now: Capsule, Contra Zoom, and Agaz Neo Human. I'm still amazed that we got to 100 episodes. While I was researching how to create a podcast and a sustainable one, I kept reading that the number of podcasts that fade away after 10 episodes is extremely high, maybe like over 80%. Getting past that first 10 is the hardest. And to keep it on a consistent basis, like every week, I'm really happy that we did. And you did that as well. So good for you, Dakota and Andreas, on Contra Zoom.
Well, thank you.
Yes, you made it past that barrier. And I think Capsule remains a place for us to express ourselves for music, film, and pop culture on a more informal but more in-depth level. As I always say, it's Live in Limbo's director's cut. So I think that is continuing to grow and continuing to remain true. So thank you to everyone who listens and my co-host.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And I know it's not Contra Zoom hour, but thank you for the kind words and for including me as well, Dakota. And I love music. I love film. I'm geeky about both. You know, I might not have like a lot of life trades that I can offer, but I'm just glad that I have 2 outlets that I can, express whatever's off the top of my head with these two passions that I'm obsessively geeking about. So thank you both for featuring me on both podcasts that start with a C. Thank you.
It's absolutely a pleasure. Dakota, I wanted to ask you, what did it feel like to get that first 10 episodes and then getting past that 10th episode and continuing? Did you feel the struggle, the climb?
It was at times like.
Did you feel like quitting at anywhere between the first 10 episodes?
Quitting, no, but there was times where it would be like over a month between episodes, and it was really bugging me where I was like, we really need something to talk about. Or due to the nature of what Andreas and I are doing, with a lot of the episodes, there's a lot of homework that needs to be done beforehand, whether we're going through and watching the Best Picture winners,
That's what people don't realize when they get into podcasting. That's what I remember. That's why the first 10 are hard, because you're all like gung-ho. Let's do this. Let's sit down. Let's do it. Oh, what do we talk about?
Yeah, and so like there's so much work that goes into prepping for it and talking about what our themes are going to be, and we try to balance a bit of analytical discussion with a bit of fun and games to it as well, like giving out our own personal awards and things like that. And so there's usually, you know, for every episode that we make, there's usually at least 2 to 3 weeks of back and forth planning, of bouncing ideas and doing a whole lot of like, that's an okay idea, I guess. We'll hold on to that until we find something better. And then being like, all right, you know what? We don't have anything better, so we're going with this.
Yeah, and it's interesting because for, let's say, the James Bond episode or the Star Wars episode, we'll revisit either all or as many as we can if we haven't seen all.
I actually really like those too. I like that kind of episode.
Oh, thanks. But like the thing is, like we do like a lot of work behind it. Like I remember Dakota just brushing up on Star Wars, just rewatching all of them before seeing Force Awakens. And in the end, we end up talking about, you know, like the previous films, maybe very briefly. But the point is, like, we just want to be prepared before, you know, we'll say something and we kind of like shooting ourselves because we were wrong. Like, oh, that wasn't that movie. That was this one. Yoda's not in A New Hope or whatever. So then suddenly it looks awful. But even with the amount of homework that we do, like the fact that it might get glanced upon very briefly, at least we know that it's credible. So at least it's fun homework. At least we're watching movies.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
but
that's great.
Time.
It's a great outlet, great excuse to watch movies. All right, so thank you again for all of that. Let's talk about the future, and that's so many things will happen with this podcast and on Live in Limbo. But at the core of it, it's all about the music and going to these amazing live shows and festivals. So let's talk about the lineup for Way Home 2016.
Streaming to you from Live in Limbo. You're listening to Capsule.
I saw the lineup. I'm pretty happy with it. Andreas, you sounded pretty happy. So Dakota, you want to recap?
Yeah, sure. In advance, you know, there was some stuff that had leaked. There is rumors about Arcade Fire and the Killers being the headliners, and then other people wondering who the last headliner might be. LCD Sound System's name had bounced around a little bit. And then there were some actual legit leaks that happened otherwise about some of the smaller names that were probably going to be there. And then when they did the Clue videos, which were quite ingenious, I really enjoyed them. We got a really good picture of who's going to be on it, and then when the actual lineup dropped, it definitely surpassed any and all expectations I had. Even though, you know, the headliners were already, you know, predetermined, everyone else, it's an absolutely stacked lineup. Now I know it's not going to be for everyone. Andreas and I were talking about this yesterday. It almost looks like someone went through my iPod and picked out basically everyone that's on my iPod to make a festival. So this festival really speaks to me as far as who's there. But that said, you know, there's a little bit of everything for everyone. You can't really go wrong with the big names of LCD Sound System, Arcade Fire, and the Killers. Those are all fantastically huge names. And then you have some of the smaller big names as well, from like Major Lazer, M83, Haim, Churches, Ray LaMontagne, who's actually being backed by My Morning Jacket, FKA Twigs. Like, this is a ridiculously stacked lineup. And there's something for everyone, really. I really liked, you know, people are going to complain about the lack of either hip hop or EDM compared to other multi-genre festivals, but they did a pretty good job last year of balancing it all out. You know, during the day you have like your stuff where you rock out to, and then at night is sort of your dance parties, EDM stuff. While they still also have like
they still have that.
I know they still do. That's what I'm saying. Is like they still have that, and I think they balance that really well. Whereas if you just look straight up on the lineup, the actual hip hop rapper sort of stuff isn't as big as some other festivals, but they're there. And same as like the EDM stuff. You have Major Lazer, Tribe Called Red, and Keys and Crates. The rest of the stuff is more electronic, not straight up EDM. DJs dropping the beat sort of thing, dropping the bass. But like, I don't know, everything is there.
Andreas's favorite EDM guy, K Trinata, is not going to be there this year.
Oh, that's swell. That's great.
What are your thoughts on this lineup, Andreas?
I really, really liked it. Now, it's not like somebody went through my iPod, but having come to learn what Dakota's into, I've come to learn that because you do a lot of festivals and, you went to Bonnaroo a number of times, a lot of what you listen to is festival worthy, let's say. So,
or festival caliber. Yeah.
Yes, actually. And as I do see you quite often, Dakota, and I hear your music quite often, I have kind of been influenced a little bit by what you listen to. I hate to admit it, but I'm kind of liking Drake now. Speaking of the great coach that led Canada into battle yesterday.
Start from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I actually gave Take Care another spin, and you know what? It's not half bad. I like some cuts on it. What have you done to me? So,
or Andres, let's say, what do you think of the headliners and then the mid card?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I was going to get to that. Basically, I was just going to say that a lot of what was on the lineup was kind of thanks to the last year or two with Dakota, that a lot of it's kind of shaped how I would feel about it. As for the headliners, yes. I like LCD Sound System. I think they'd be terrific live, and welcome back. Once they had their farewell tour, I'm very glad that there is an opportunity, even though that farewell tour and the final concert is kind of not as prominent anymore because they did come back. But I'm glad because it looked like an absolute fiesta. The Killers, not hugely into, but
remember how excited you were for Brandon Flowers last year?
Yay! Not really. I think
you wanted to leave. I know.
I think I was very exhausted from the heat. I was kind of just like sitting on the barricade.
But that's not because you didn't like him.
He was actually all right. He was all right. He's not my cup of tea, but live.
What about the Killers, though? What about the Killers?
I like 2 songs of theirs because I was young and I was impressioned by the radio. So that's my view of the Killers. But
what about the mid card then?
What's that?
The mid card.
Yeah, I'm most excited for Arcade Fire. I've always wanted to see them since they first came out. Even when I was heavily into death metal,
I thought you saw them
Arcade
before.
Fire. Was that?
I thought you saw them before.
No, I've never. I've covered Windows 95,
That's
where
right.
I had a brief encounter with Win Butler, basically giving me photo opportunities and then basically saying, "Okay, stop smashing the flash in my eyes." So that was great. Yeah, I got to meet the MVP, but. No, I've never seen Arcade Fire. Even when I was heavily into death metal and satanic stuff, they had a place on my iPod with Funeral for some reason, and that's never changed. I still love them. They're one of my favorites. I still consider them probably one of the best Canadian acts, up there with Joni Mitchell and Neil Young. Just a more contemporary version of that kind of legacy, and it's terrific. I can't wait. If they're the very last band to play, I don't care. I'm staying until I get sunburned and I die from secondhand smoke. I don't care. I am seeing Arcade Fire. I have to.
We can make that happen. Yes, that will happen.
Yes.
So
yes,
I don't know. For me, maybe it's because I love the lineup. But I probably love the mid card more than the headliners. The headliners are great, but maybe it's because I've seen Arcade Fire already and I've seen the Killers. I would love to see them again. That's for sure. And I'm not super big on LCD Sound System. I've been talking with Dakota and some other people, but like I wouldn't build them as like the headliner to sell 40,000 tickets.
Just you wait.
But like they're not like, I don't even know how to say it properly. It's like you have last year you had Sam Smith, Kendrick Lamar, Neil Young. Now you have Arcade Fire, the Killers, and like LCD Sound System is not like super sellable.
I don't know.
It's like on the borderline of like they're mainstream, but like right there that goes under the mainstream, like right at that bottom.
They're quite a huge name. I would disagree with that. Like, and I think Dakota's in agreement with me. I think especially because it's a reunion and nobody thought they would ever have a chance to see.
But like if
James
you
Murphy's
walk
project
down,
again.
if you go to the mall and then you're like, have you heard of Arcade Fire? Yeah.
Sean, what you're forgetting though is like festival lineups are a completely different beast compared to other things. They're not trying to get the average music fan. They're trying to get people who are hardcore into music and want to see everyone all at once. And for that, LCD Sound System is a festival band. Even something like Arcade Fire is sort of like a top tier festival band. Last year, Way Home took a huge risk with booking Kendrick Lamar and Sam Smith. Both of whom were booked and announced before they really blew up. Sam Smith was sort of popular. Kendrick Lamar was not popular when he was announced. It was before To Pimp a Butterfly came out. I think it was just after I came out. People were sort of scratching their heads, wondering what he was going with. And Neil Young wasn't on the lineup at that point. Alt J was the third headliner.
I was like, that is weird. That is true. I forgot about that. Good point. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm really excited for the mid card though.
It's got all your favorite girls.
Yeah, I know. Holy crap! Look at this lineup. This is amazing. Like all the way from like the top line of the mid card all the way down to like the bottom is amazing. Everyone we have to interview everyone. So like right off the bat. M83, Haim, Churches, I've seen Major Lazer. I can't believe I went to Mad Decent Block Party and almost died from that. FKA Twigs. No, I like Diplo. Diplo's cool, but I didn't have to go to that festival to see them if I knew they were going to be here. Mac DeMarco, Last Shadow Puppets, Foles, The Arcs. So like from those two, Shadow Puppets and Arcs, you have the geniuses from Arctic Monkeys and the Black Keys there. Nathaniel Ratcliffe, Matt and Kim. Who else? Let's see. Ex-Ambassadors, Dakota. I know you want to interview them. You'll get that. Andres, you did that. That's cool. Let's see. Who else? Down this. Moo. How do you pronounce that again?
I think it's like Mew or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of a weird Swedish pronunciation. So
we have to get her
whatever
again.
you want.
Yeah, it's weird because there is a Mew, so who knows? Like, I don't know.
Actually, Unknown Mortal Orchestra is really cool. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I like them a lot.
I discovered them from Elton John's Rocket Hour on Beats One, so that's how I found them. Gold Link is pretty cool. Let's see, who else? Lindsay Sterling's like the odd one because she doesn't really sing violin and dance.
She's a violinist, isn't she?
Yeah. From video game stuff. Oh, Wonder's going to be there. They're amazing. I love them too. Who else? Fiddler.
I'm very big into Robert DeLong and White Denim.
That's right. Our Borns guy is there.
I'm really into White Lungs, so that's going to be exciting. White Lung and Savages is going to be a rip your face off moment, kind of like, yeah. Ali
X is actually pretty interesting as well.
I'm looking forward to Dilly Dally. I heard so much good things about them last year. But
dude, like this entire thing is, I have no idea how we're going to cover everyone and interview them. That's what I'm worried about.
We also have Future. Anybody excited for that?
Where? He's on the list? Where? Oh yeah, Future. Yes, Future is there too. Mac
He's
DeMarco
the biggest
is there.
rapper.
Yeah, Future is there. Mac DeMarco is there. I know, Andres, you want to speak to him.
Yes, I would love to. I've seen him.
Gary Clark. Like literally everyone is amazing. Oh, Kurt Vile. Yeah, that's cool too.
Yeah, Kurt Vile's there too.
Glass Animals, Dakota. I know you like them.
I do.
Let's see. Stars is cool. Saw them.
Stars are pretty good live. I've seen them live before. They're pretty good.
Bad. Everyone loves Bad.
I love them.
Yes.
Bahamas, Half Moon Run. Every single line is good.
Especially LCD Sound System. They're great, Sean.
Okay, well, I'll have to listen to them more then, and I'll see them live.
People are saying that if you want to get into them, you should watch their documentary, Shut Up and Play the Hits, and that sort of communicates their live show and what makes them good.
Mm-hmm.
Also, keep in mind that name of that documentary came from Win Butler basically yelling that at their show. I don't know if it was the final one, but at one of their shows. So that has me intrigued. Are Arcade Fire and LCD Sound System, seeing as though they're buddies, are they going to do something?
Maybe. Also, another interesting point is that Wolf Parade is also on the list, and they've opened for Arcade Fire in their various forms, Dan Beckner's various bands for them many times, and this will be another one.
There you go. There's a lot of exciting opportunities.
But right off the bat, like the Killers will deny all photographers, so I have to be front row for that. I'm debating Same thing for like Kendrick last year. It's like, do you want to use the photo pit for the first 3 and then get booted to the side and the back, or do you want to be at the front? So for Arcade Fire,
Yes, front.
I'm gonna be at the front.
Yes, 1,000,000% front. LCD sound system front. The Killers.
Well, they're gonna deny everyone anyway, so
Yeah,
you can enjoy the Killers from the back. That's fine too.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll become a super fan once I see them live. I don't know, but we'll see.
I'm pretty worried about the schedule conflicts.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a crazy schedule. We need more people there. But even though you want to see everyone, right? So it's like you already know you're going to miss a lot of people.
Yeah, and like I've seen several of the people on this lineup, but like
you want to see them again.
I do, but like normally I'm when I go to some of the smaller festivals, I've seen a whole bunch of them where I could sort of work my way around, be like, all right, I've seen them. I know they're good, and I'm sure I want to see them again, but at least, I'll avoid them because I want to see someone new. This one, there's almost, like, it's so few.
There's no wiggle.
Amount of people that I've seen.
Yeah, it's amazing. But, so are there any disappointments or not maybe disappointments, but, like, anyone that you really did want to see? For me, there's, like, no real, in quotes, legacy act. Maybe you can count LCD and Arcade Fire, but they're still relatively young people. There's no like Rocking in the Free World with Neil Young going on. There's no Radiohead or Coldplay even. I really wanted one of them to be there.
I think the only one that Dakota and I kind of were thinking about, and a lot of people as well, is Tame Impala, because that seemed like a very suspect band that might have shown up, and who knows, they might be at it's rumored that they might be at Festival or at Osheaga, so we'll see. But apart from that, no, I think it's a pretty solid lineup.
There's a couple like Canadian smaller acts that I was sort of hoping to show up. Someone like Jazz Cartier, I was really hoping he would be there.
Is this the final lineup? There's like no, they're not going to announce anymore.
They'll probably announce like 3 or 4 small names.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it won't be a big name.
You know who I'm surprised that's not there is Sia, but maybe she sounds more like a Festival act.
I don't know. Festival looks like it's going to be Tame Impala and The Cure.
As the headliners?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The Cure?
That sounds amazing. Yeah.
At Festival?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Why not? They're sort of that kind of weird.
But they were headlining Riot Fest.
But the Riot Fest is basically pop punk mixed with things that don't really belong there, but yet they're still there.
No, but Festival is like Festival is like on the borderline dancey.
Yeah,
but they also
Cure can
had,
be dancey.
I know, but like Sia is like, I think Sia fits the bill.
She might, but she's not rumored to be there.
Oh, that sucks. Okay, well. What about Coldplay? I wanted Coldplay. Where are they even going to come to Toronto?
They have no Canadian dates right now.
That's racist.
Something later.
What about Radiohead? They're exclusive to Osheaga?
Yeah.
They're never coming back to Toronto after that incident. They're like,
no,
just scratch Toronto
come
off.
Back to Toronto. They're just not going to do a festival in Toronto.
Even the show?
No, that's not what I just said.
Oh, okay. They haven't been back since.
I know, because I haven't had any new material since.
Yeah, but still. Have either of you guys seen Radiohead?
I have.
No,
you have? Where did you see them, Dakota?
Bonnaroo, back in 2012.
Oh, Bonnaroo, okay. I've seen them at Molson for the In Rainbows tour. That was amazing.
I've yet to see them. I would love to see them.
I was going to ask, have you seen any of these headliners? Well, probably not LCD, but like, have you seen Arcade Fire, The Killers before?
I saw The Killers years ago back on Virgin Festival on the Toronto Island.
That's where I saw them. Oh, you were there too?
Yep. Yeah, I think that was the second year.
Yes, right.
During their Sam's Town tour.
That's my favorite album of theirs. That was a good show.
Yeah, I wasn't super into them, and I think I only stayed for about half of their set, but they were pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
But I do love The Killers.
Oh, that's so cool. This festival is going to... And you said this year is going to be interesting because it's cashless?
Yeah.
Is that official?
Yeah, it's on their website. They're going the RFID bracelet route. So basically, your bracelet that you use to scan in and out of the grounds will also be your credit card. So you'll either be able to top up money electronically by sending it. So you sign into your account your bank account sort of thing and transfer money over, or there'll be stands where you line up and you either give them cash or you give them like you swipe your card or whatnot and put money on it, and then
they should accept
vendors,
Apple Watch payments too, so that'd be cool.
all the vendors that accept only cashless forms of payment, which is good and bad. It's good because, you don't have to worry about taking money around and, it's just there automatically. But there have been issues at festivals in the past. Things like some of the smaller vendors usually don't get the technology to support it. So they're using cash, but there's no ATMs around. So they're sort of like stuck.
Oh, those card readers are like cheap now. I think they won't have any problems getting them the hardware. But for me, it's like, you remember how bad the cellular signal was there. So you can only imagine if the system went down and everyone just starved to death.
Yeah, because that has been an issue in the past too, where festivals have had it go down, or some vendors will have specific issues and be like, oh, we only accept cash, our machine's down, sort of thing. And then there's the bigger issue of at the end of the festival, if you have less than $5 on your account, you can't get it back. And if you have money left over on your account, you have to pay about $5 to get it back.
Really?
Wow.
Yes.
That's crazy. So use it up. Use it all up. I hope, the only thing I hope is that they have at least 5 times as many water stations.
Yeah, it was dangerous last year only having the one in general admission. I luckily found the one in the VIP behind the barn that I used a couple times, but like that wasn't really convenient. They needed one by the Way Bright stage, maybe in between Way Bright and Way Away.
There needs to be one at every stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the one with the forest?
That's the Way Away.
Yeah, no, absolutely there, because that was probably where a lot of the most heated kind of crowds were.
But that was also closest to the media area too, so you should be okay. For us.
For us, but that's the general populace are not media.
No, they're just commoners, whatever.
Yeah, there should be at least 3 to 4 water stations throughout the grounds. Yeah. One at each of the 3 big stages, and then maybe one either in the middle or something like that. I don't know. But that could have been a lot dangerous if the fact that like there was that one day where it was super, super hot, and then the other 2 were sort of mild. If all 3 were super hot, it would have been way worse.
Absolutely. There's so much.
It's not way home. It's way worse.
No, I'm sure this year will be even better. And they won 2 awards from, who was it? Festival Snobs. Best rookie, like best newcomer festival and best mid-size festival for 2015. So congrats on Way Home. I agree with that.
I agree too. It was impeccably run otherwise, and the lineup was great. And I don't know, the fan experience overall, you couldn't be beat. I went to 4 or 5 festivals last year, and it was easily the best.
Amazing. All right. So that wraps up our 100th episode of Capsule. Thank you again, Andreas. Thank you, Dakota. I want to plug 2 things. Check out Contra Zoom, our film podcast by Dakota. Find the subscription link in the show notes. Also, check out our YouTube channel, Live in Limbo TV, one word. It's freshly redesigned with the channel art and layout, and of course, exclusive interviews and video content. Subscribe in the link below. Andreas, where can all of our listeners find you?
You can find me in the 6, where our coaches are Drake and our players name Win. You can also find me on Twitter at Andreas Babs.
Dakota, where can everyone find you?
You can find me at DGAPA, and you can also follow at ContraZoom Pod. And as you plugged, keep following along. We're going to be doing our big Oscar roundtable coming up soon. I don't know. We've been doing lots of good things, and it's only going to get better from here on out.
Absolutely. I love it. And you can follow myself on Twitter at Sean Chin. Follow this show at Live in Limbo and use the hashtag Capsule Podcast to join in on the conversation. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes, give us 5 stars, and leave some nice words in the review section. And as always, you can find the show notes at liveinlimbo.com/capsule. Take care.
Have a good one.